Hey guys! So we left Mary and Martha kind of snuggled up by the fire with the wind wuthering around the house, and Mary's kind of peeking out of Martha what she knows about this house, about the garden, about everything. And we just found out that Mr. Craven won't let anyone go in or talk about the garden because his wife died in the garden, and that's why he won't let anyone talk about it. Mary did not ask any more questions. She looked at the red fire and listened to the wind wuthering. It seemed to be wuthering louder than ever. At that moment, a very good thing was happening to her. 4 good things had happened to her, in fact, since she came to Misselthwaite Manor. She had felt as if she had understood a robin and that he had understood her. She had run in the wind until her blood had grown warm. She had been healthily hungry for the first time in her life, and she had found out what it was to be sorry for someone. But as she was listening to the wind, she began to listen to something else. She did not know what it was, because at first she could scarcely distinguish it from the wind itself. It was a curious sound. It seemed almost as if a child were crying somewhere. Sometimes the wind sounded rather like a child crying, but presently Mistress Mary felt quite sure that this sound was inside the house and not outside of it. It was far away, but it was inside. She turned round and looked at Martha. "Do you hear someone crying?" she said. Martha looked suddenly confused. No," she answered. It's the wind. Sometimes it sounds like as if someone was lost out on the moor and wailing. It's got all sorts of sounds." "But listen," said Mary. "It's in the house, down one of those long corridors." At that very moment, a door must have opened somewhere downstairs, for a great rushing draught blew along the passage, and the door of the room they sat in was blown open with a crash, and they both jumped to their feet, and the light was blown out, and the crying sound was swept down the far corridor so that it was heard more plainly than ever. "There," said Mary, "I told you so. It's someone crying, and it isn't a grown-up person." Martha ran and shut the door and turned the key, but before she did it, they both heard the sound of a door in some far passage shutting with a bang, and then everything was quiet, for even the wind stopped wuthering for a few moments. "It was the wind," said Martha stubbornly, and if it wasn't, it must have been little Betty Butterworth, the scullery maid. She's had this toothache all day." But there was something troubled and awkward in her manner that made Mistress Mary stare very hard at her. She did not believe she was speaking the truth. A cry in the corridor, indeed. Who might be making it?